Welcome to another episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Our co-hosts, Sri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage with consumers online, in-store, and everywhere in between. And now, here are Sri and Peter. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the CPG Guys podcast. I am PVSB, one of the aforementioned CPG guys. I'm also Vice President of Partner Strategy and Development at Fetch Rewards mobile loyalty platform. My co-host is a luminary in the omni-channel CPG world. People stop him on city streets and ask him for his autograph and to take selfies with him. That's fame. Please join me in welcoming my podcast significant other, the man known as Sri. Sri, how's life outside of the frozen tundra of the Northeast as we record this? I'm trying to outrace a snowmageddon and I'm losing.
I don't know, Peter. I live in Los Angeles, but I'm 10 miles away from the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and no one's asking for an autograph, man.
Oh, I don't know. I think they are, Sri. Maybe when we're at trade shows, that's when people run us down. But
there we go.
But thank you as always for joining us. Before we get to our guest, I want to remind our audience that all of our content, you can find it by just visiting cpgguys.com. And if you're not following us on LinkedIn, it's where we amplify not just our podcast, but so much thought leadership that's relevant to this industry. Just go to linkedin.com or open up the mobile app. Most people are now accessing LinkedIn via their mobile format. And just search for CPG Guys, and when you get to our page, just click the blue follow button, and that way you'll always be apprised. And of course, it doesn't cost nothing, so why not do it, right? And Sri, we launched another podcast January 1st. We're outside of North America. We're now in Europe. We have a couple of friends, Ephraim and Daniel. They host the FMCG Guys. That's not CPG. It's fast moving consumer goods. That's why it's named that way. But they're basically taking our format to Europe, and they talk with industry luminaries that are in Europe and beyond. It's a really great conversation format that they have, primarily because it's kind of modeled after ours, so we like that. But it's some great guests, and we encourage you to follow it. If you want to get to it, just go to cpgguys.com. The very link at the top of the page is a link to the FMCG Guys, and you can find their podcast as well. And as always, we are very proud to partner with the Network of Executive Women. They've got some big announcement coming up next week, Sri. There's something big is happening there. We're going to have to figure out what that is. But, it is the Network of Executive Women is an organization. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is dedicated to helping advance the professional careers of women. And it also involves men as well, who are advocates and allies. And in the middle of every Wednesday episode, including today's episode, we'll tell you a little more about new and activities they've got going on. If you want to learn more, just go to newonline.org/CPG Guys. I guess that makes us an official partner. They have a microsite for it, free. And if you're someone in the audience and you're interested in being on the show, you think you have something to talk about relative to your brand or your company's vision, just drop us an email at contact@cpgguys.com. There'll be a link in the digital liner notes of this podcast, and let us know. We're always curious to bring new ideas and fresh faces to this show. So on to our episode today. Sri and I are always enjoying when retailers want to speak with us in particular. We certainly know our audience appreciates retailers sharing their insights and perspectives. Today, we're fortunate enough to have a guest who works at a digitally native retailer that is turned to omni-channel through some acquisitions over the last year. And it's been getting a heck of a lot of press lately with funding rounds, international expansion, entry into the competitive Manhattan marketplace with physical retail stores. And what we're really going to talk about today was the launch of a retail media platform. They opened a grocer-on version, and they've also done some really great things for our community, contributing to hurricane relief in the Midwest of recent. And we're really proud of them for that. Of course, we're talking about the vertically integrated retailer unicorn. I know about unicorns, Sri. My daughter loves them, but Fetch may be a unicorn too. I think we are, but it's known as Gopuff, and I think we have some common ownership in our venture capital background. But They are a self-described go-to for everyday needs, fulfilled in just minutes. We're not talking days, Sri. Forget about hours. We're talking minutes now. I mean, that is about satisfaction. You may remember that we had several previous guests from Gopuff join us in May of 2021 for episode 90. So you can go back and find that in our archives. We're pleased to have today a great guest. We look forward to learning all that is new at Gopuff and how you're facilitating partnerships with brands and the agencies that engage with Gopuff shoppers. Please join Sri and me in welcoming to the CPG Guys podcast, Mike Harp, head of brand and agency partnerships. Mike, welcome to our little cottage industry known as the CPG Guys podcast.
Thanks, Peter and Sri. Great to be here. I appreciate the warm welcome. Your t-shirts look great, so thanks for representing Gopuff. Appreciate that. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the show and excited to share with you what we've been up to since you last met my colleagues, Andy and Alina.
Absolutely. For those of you who can't, you're just listening, you can't see it. Sri and I are wearing our Gopuff swag. We love it. We love representing our guests when they come on, so it's very exciting. But and we're gonna send Mike a CPG Guys t-shirt following this episode. So we have to reciprocate. It's the only right thing to do. Hey, Mike, before we get to the questions that we've got prepared for you, we're going to grill you. I've got the big spotlight to shine on you. Where were you on the night of? No, it's nothing like that. This is a friendly conversation, people. First of all, would you tell if there's a brand here and they're like, this is interesting, I want to know more about the Gopuff ad platform, where do they go online to learn about it? And then would you give us a little bit about what it is you and your team do at Gopuff?
Sure, with pleasure. So yeah, I'm excited to share more details on our Gopuff Ad Solutions. For those of you who want to go find out more, you can go to gopuff.com/go/ads, and you'll have more of the details on our full suite of solutions there. And in terms of my role at Gopuff, so I lead our brand and agency partnerships team. And at Gopuff, we really want to create an ads platform that drives predictable and repeatable ROI for our partners, underpinned by our superpower of being able to connect from digital impression all the way through to delivering those products to people's doors in minutes, right? Because of our vertical integration. So that's really the ambition. And my team and I, we're focused on working with brands and agencies to understand their jobs to be done, their business objectives, and then partnering on building the right creative media measurement solutions to maximize impact on our platform and ultimately be the best learning partner as well, because this space is rapidly evolving and we really want to make sure that we have the right measurement learnings at the center of everything we do.
That's terrific, Mike. So what we're going to do is, for our listeners, you don't have to write that all down. There'll be hyperlinks in the digital liner notes of this podcast to Mike's profile, to Gopuff's ad page that he mentioned, the microsite, and a link to their LinkedIn page, where you should certainly follow Gopuff on LinkedIn. They produce some great content there as well. So it'll all be in the podcast. And thank you for that brief summary. Let's get to the questions. I think it would probably behoove us to, before we get into some really detailed questions, why don't you give us a quick refresher on what Gopuff is? Because I'm so fascinated by your model. I know when we talked before the show, just like the statistics around the day part consumption of your audience is fascinating. I know you're going to get into that, but why don't you share with our audience what sets Gopuff apart? Give us a sense of kind of your scale. And where is the company today?
Yeah, with pleasure. So to begin with, Gopuff, we created the instant needs category 8 years ago when our founders, Raf and Yakir, created Gopuff from their dorm room at Drexel University. And we're really focused on delivering on people's immediate everyday needs by delivering everything from household cleaning products to personal care products to over-the-counter medicine, food, drink, or alcohol, all delivered to your door in 15 to 30 minutes for a flat delivery fee of $1.95. That's really at the core of what we offer. And, I think the secret sauce, the special, and you alluded to this in the intro, but the magic that enables Gopuff to do what it does is vertical integration, right? We own every step of the last mile process, from buying products directly from manufacturers or distributors managing that inventory through our network of over 500 micro fulfillment centers, and then having our fleet of delivery drivers that deliver those products to your door. So it enables this best-in-class customer experience because what you order is actually what you receive. It also is really powerful from a unit economics perspective. And it enables a number of other differentiators that I'll quickly walk through. So first and foremost, most of our locations are open 24/7, the storefront that never closes. The next piece is speed of delivery. Those micro fulfillment centers are typically located within a 1 to 1.5 mile radius from delivery zones. So our average delivery time is 25 minutes, but I'm based in New York and I'm getting deliveries as fast as 10 to 15 minutes, right? Because of that vertical integration. The next piece is breadth of assortment, right? We want to make sure that we're having the right balance of breadth and depth of our product portfolio. And micro fulfillment centers, they typically have 3,000 to 4,000 SKUs per location. And just to put that into perspective, that's 2 to 3x of what you'd expect from a local convenience store. And a lot of those items you wouldn't find. It also allows us to optimize our assortment, not only at a national level, but at a micro fulfillment center by micro fulfillment center level too. And that's something that we're doing in near real time. As a digital native app, we can see that direct shopping behavior and make adjustments based on where the demand is. And then the next piece I'd call out, I think our audience is also a big differentiator. Our ability to drive impulse with these hard to reach shoppers. Our largest group of customers is Gen Z. It's probably not surprising given our college town origins. That's still our core audience. But 35 plus is our fastest growing audience. And that's heavily accelerated, been heavily accelerated by the pandemic. People not wanting to venture out or lockdowns. That may have been their first exposure to GoPuff. But then as they got accustomed to the convenience of the platform, it's become a normal part of their shopping routine. So what's also interesting, there's this instant gratification mindset with our shoppers. Not only do they want those products, but they want them immediately. And, Peter, you alluded to this, but, half of our purchases are happening between 9 p.m. and 4 a.m., right, when traditional retail is closed. So if you have a need at 9 a.m. or 4 a.m., we can deliver across all of those occasions. So that's a snapshot of our big differentiators. I'd love to call it just some of the big bets that we've made to make 2021 a marquee year for us and really poise us to do so much more going into 2022. So the first piece is geographic growth. So we literally doubled our geographic footprint in the US in 2021. We had major launches in New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco. We closed the year with over 30% of the US in a GoPuff delivery zone. We also made a big bet from an international perspective. We acquired 2 companies, Deja and Fancy, to launch in the UK and France, and Europe's going to continue to be a big bet for us. From a micro-fulfillment perspective, we've been rapidly expanding our logistics infrastructure. And just to put that into perspective, in 2021, we actually added more square footage than the previous 36 months combined. That's something that we're going to continue doubling down on this year. On the category expansion perspective, as our audiences evolve, we've continued to expand our offerings. So we added GoPuff Kitchens to have fresh, hot meals as part of our assortment. We really expanded some of our fastest growing categories like pet, baby, grocery to have more choice and selection for our shoppers. And then we just recently announced the launch of our private label offering. We launched a new brand, Basically, which will be focused on immediate everyday items like water, battery, and it will be the first of much more to come in that space. And then I just close on, just the business overall, the rapid growth of not only the category, but GoPuff's business as well. And just to put that in perspective, in January of this year, we've served more orders than the first 5 years of existence combined.
Sri, I don't know about you, but after 9 o'clock when I was in college, there was only one thing I could order, and it was pizza. And it was the worst pizzeria in town. And how my life would have been improved dramatically if GoPuff had been in. I need a hot tub or a DeLorean. Go back in time and fix that. Oh, thank you for that, Mike.
I'm just thinking, Peter, Gopuff kitchens, that's what we need to explore for these long afternoons we have recording back to back, etc. It's like 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Eastern time. We need them snacks, man, and I know where to go now. Gopuff kitchens, how about that? And hopefully, basically, we'll eventually catch up, and we'll also have an assortment of snacks with that brand name as well for us to choose from. So, Mike, busy guy. Sounds like you don't have too much going on though. So I'm gonna now get a little technical and jump into a favorite area of ours, which is the Gopuff Ad platform. It's been 7, 8 months, I think, summer of last year that you announced the Gopuff Ad platform. Can you walk us through all the assets that brands can choose to invest and in reaching Gopuff shoppers, including what they can sponsor? Like, is there product ads? Is there sponsored search ads? Things of that nature?
Yeah, with pleasure, Sri. And, we can definitely make sure we get your Gopuff Kitchens orders during the next taping. Thanks, Sri. Yeah, I'm really excited to share more details on our ad solutions. It's obviously a massive bet for the company and near and dear to my heart. We have full funnel marketing solutions with tactics at every stage of the funnel. And I'll walk through them chronologically, starting at the bottom of the funnel and then working my way up. So our first set of solutions are really focused on helping brands own the digital shelf and influence the point of purchase, particularly with those impulse shoppers that want products and they want them immediately. And so those solutions include promoted products, right? Helping brands to reach shoppers in aisle as they're browsing. The next solution is search, right? Really reaching our highest intent audience and helping them by bidding on the most relevant terms to win in those key moments. Both of those solutions are powered by Citrus Ads, our ad serving partner. Next, we have in-app messaging and push notifications to really help brands meet shoppers at the beginning of that shopping experience and stand out in those moments of truth. So those are our ways to own the digital shelf and influence point of purchase. Next, moving up the funnel, we have in-app banners. And that's really the way for brands to maximize share of voice in the front of store, when, on the homepage, when you walk into the app virtually, or through category banners to really own the digital end cap, right? And really help to move people through that transaction from awareness all the way through to transaction. The next pieces are our in-bag promotions like sampling and inserts. And that's a really powerful way to drive discovery and trial for our unique audience. And it's a superpower for Gopuff because of that vertical integration. The fact that we own that end-to-end last mile process allows us to do sampling in a highly targetable and measurable way that you really can't find through many other platforms. And I'll give some examples of this. I think sampling is particularly interesting either through owning kind of tentpole cultural or cultural moments activations, or also everyday occasions. And so I'll share examples for each one of those. I think the first example is great work that we partnered with GSK for the Super Bowl. And we did sampling with Tums and Nexium during the big game, anticipating that heartburn, upset stomachs were going to be happening after overindulging in really rich foods. And it drove phenomenal results.
I think some Green Bay fans could use that
Yes.
right about now, right? They're still, they could probably sit, so a couple days after the game, they could still use it.
That's right. That's right. And so, yeah, the results were phenomenal. It was a really highly relevant way to insert the brands into that cultural moment. 80% of the customers that purchased after sampling were new to brand. And so it was a really powerful way for both of those brands to reach incremental customers. The next piece is around using sampling to help local brands grow, right? And so as part of our New York City launch, we partnered with local New York City favorite Milk Bar, owned by Momofuku. And we created these newbie offerings to where all of our new New York City shoppers were welcome to the platform with a Milk Bar sample. So it was a really powerful way for us to show local relevance with these hometown heroes as part of our launch, while also helping this disruptor brand reach a whole new segment of shoppers. So sampling is a really powerful solution we're excited about. The next piece is moving up the funnel to through programmatic and our trade desk integration to help brands reach a full swath of category buyers and gain increased category share and reach more of those brand buyers that they can send back to the Gopuff platform for conversion. So that's the end-to-end set of solutions Over time, we do recommend brands build those all together, but starting with at the bottom of the funnel and working your way up. The other piece I would mention is we have an in-house creative team made up of creative directors from top creative agencies like Anomaly, Mother, and they're focused on building creative assets across all of these solutions to where activating on Gopuff can be very plug and play.
So Mike, tell us a little bit about what brands are able to do themselves on your platform.
Great question, Peter. And we ultimately want to make planning and buying on Gopuff as easy as possible and as akin to how brands and agencies are planning overall retail media across all other networks. And so we have really 3 different coverage models to help support brands and agencies. The first one is more a direct consultative support approach. And think of those as our JBP partners. Those are the partners, the most sophisticated advertisers that are ready to climb the mountain with us, where there's no doubt in my mind that instant needs category is going to become a mainstream shopping behavior. And rather than waiting 3 years for that, these are the partners that are going to lean in and really be at the forefront with us as we build that. And for those partners with those JBP relationships, we've assembled one Gopuff Teams, where we're unlocking competitive advantage across merchandising, operations, product engineering, marketing, and really doing forward collaborative planning with those partners to unlock that value and write the future together. So that's the first model. The second piece is around scaled support, working with agencies and across their entire portfolio, and channel partnerships. And so we really want to meet brands and agency partners where they are. And so within those scaled support, we have API integration with Citrus Ad, with PackView, Sky, a key on the programmatic side, to where you really can advertise us in 3 simple steps. It's selecting the products, set the budget and bid, and you're off to the races and seeing the direct value. We only charge on a cost per click basis, so you're only paying for performance. And what we have seen, across those 3 approaches, more and more teams are choosing self-serve solutions, particularly around hands-on keyboard teams, whether those are agencies that have sophisticated solutions or in-house marketing teams. But we really want to give that choice to partners and meet them where they are and unlock value in the most accessible way possible.
Let's just keep going with the technicality of the ad platform. So what did the launch of the Gopuff Ad Solutions and a self-serve platform enable that working only directly with brands wouldn't? And any 1 or 2 use cases you can point out that illustrate the value set of doing exactly that?
Yeah, Shri, and we often get the question, who's doing it best? And so I'd love to call out the example of, to answer your question, used Unilever as a way to illustrate that. I think first at a partnership level, they're really best in class, in terms of being with us from the very early days of the platform, investing, to what I talked about, investing in building the future. They've certainly been that, particularly from an ice cream category perspective, and really acting as category captains. Every time we have new innovations, they're first in line to test them and learn and shape them with us. At a campaign level, what that looks like is, it's an example that I think is really exciting. We built this campaign with Unilever ice cream called Crack a Cold One. And, it was really centered on kind of addressing this customer disbelief that you can actually have ice cream delivered to your door the way that it was intended to be served, frozen, right? That you could get your favorite pint of Ben & Jerry's or Talenti during peak summer months, delivered to your door in minutes. And so that's where Gopuff entered the picture. And our creative studio team that I mentioned before, we built this custom marketing program called Crack a Cold One, really designed to spark those cravings during those peak summer months and to create awareness that you could get those favorite ice cream brands delivered to you fast and frozen. And, I don't want to set the wrong precedent, but we actually, conceived, developed and launched the campaign, I think, in 5 weeks. So just as an example of how agile, partnering with Gopuff can be.
5 weeks. Did I hear that right?
Weeks. Yes. Now that's not the standard, but that's what's possible. We want to move fast and especially when we have big opportunities to own those kind of occasions like we did with Unilever. And the results were phenomenal. We actually concepted, filmed, edited a custom TV spot. We had fully integrated creative across each of those media surfaces that I talked about. And the results were phenomenal. We reached, over almost 100 million impressions across category buyers, across all of our surfaces. It was an awareness play, but we also drove 3x conversion as part of that campaign. And so, self-serve and partnering with Mindshare, like hands-on keyboard teams were part of that, but also working holistically across our full suite of full funnel solutions. I think that's a great example of building a new playbook for how to do full funnel marketing in this instant needs space. And it's kind of become the prototype for how we're partnering with Unilever and other top partners moving forward.
Peter is using words I can't resist. He said full funnel marketing.
I knew that when he said that, you were going to just about lose it. You hit on one of Shree's favorite terms, and now he can't be contained. But I want to remind our audience that we are speaking with Mike Harp. He's the head of brand and agency partnerships at Gopuff, the go-to retailer for immediate everyday needs. So, Mike, would you walk us through the major campaign reporting metrics? Because brands don't just invest in things anymore and hope that it goes well. They actually want to know it goes well. So what are the metrics that you're giving back to brands? ROAS, maximum spend value, what all the metrics and for the different offerings that you outlined. And what do you offer brands seeking to measure true incrementality? How do you advise brands? How do you advise brands to sequentially invest against your ad platform? First dollar, second dollar, third dollar.
In order to create predictable, repeatable ROI, measurement has to be at the core of everything we do. It's a massive bet for us. We brought in top talent to lead this part of our business. And we really also think we want measurement and learning systems to be a competitive differentiator for Gopuff. Now, as a young platform, we also are mapping out what is that crawl, walk, run approach? How do we get the basic fundamentals in place and learn fast with partners and then build upon that in differentiated ways and ways that play to our strengths? So I'll start with the foundational elements, and then a little bit later, we'll talk about our roadmap for how we're expanding that in a differentiated way. So on the reporting front, starting off upper funnel, we're measuring impressions and clicks. Lower funnel, we're tracking against return on ad spend, click-through rate, conversion rate, ad attributed sales, and then even partnering with third parties like Nielsen and the Trade Desk to look at conversion lift and brand lift studies. So really doing that in a standardized way to where we can start assembling this body of knowledge and learnings while we expand upon that with more sophisticated solutions over time. So that's the first piece on the measurement and reporting front. Then in terms of recommendation for investments, we want to make sure, the price of admission for a retail media network, as you both know so well, is driving conversions. We need to sell or else. And so that first dollar invested really has to be at the bottom of the funnel, and starting with owning the digital shelf, influencing the point of purchase through promoted products, through our search solutions. That's got to be the beginning. And then once you have this always-on conversion engine in place, then move up the funnel by integrating around those key moments or occasions that matter to you as a brand. And you can do that through the homepage and category page banner placements I mentioned. I think sampling similar approaches as Tums and Nexium or Milk Bar took. And then also programmatic. Again, flexing the Unilever Crack a Cold One example, having all those elements work hand in hand. That's the chronology that we'd recommend, but it's really got to start at the bottom of the funnel and move up. And over time, by taking that approach, it's going to make everything you do work that much more effectively. From awareness across all category buyers all the way through to converting them at the bottom of the funnel.
You know what I'm thinking, Peter? The next time we do this, Crack a Cold One, Gopuff Kitchens, they need to come together live here. What do you think, man?
I think you're hungry.
I got my snacks right here.
Okay.
So that said, if I'm a brand, Mike, and I'm investing in the Gopuff ad platform, and what can I expect back from the Gopuff ad platform and your team in terms of measurement, metrics, reporting, and then are there new techniques that you're working on that you're testing with brands, etc.? Like I heard you just mention the word sampling, so would love to know a little bit more.
Yeah, great question, Sri. And I'm excited to share our roadmap and where we're going. The one thing I would call out, and maybe a bit of a provocation, but this space is exploding. Instant needs, as I mentioned before, is becoming a mainstream shopping behavior. My recommendation to brands is don't wait to get started. Learn fast right now, even if it's with the basics, because the competitive advantage and the learnings you're going to gain is going to make it so worth it. And then, joining as part of that journey, we're going to add more sophisticated solutions to that mix over time. But you need to have that foundation in place to take advantage of these new innovations. And so on the measurement roadmap, and we are going to be looking for beta partners. So stay tuned. If anybody that's interested on that, please do get in touch. But we need to have the foundation in place to begin with. So to start with, unified reporting, right? We're building out our own proprietary attribution model to make sure we can deliver holistic and scalable reporting across all of our media surfaces, both in-app as well as off-app, and ultimately get to a place where we can help brands really optimize attribution across allocation across each of those surfaces. So that's really fundamental, is having that holistic visibility on your advertising investments and how they're performing and how they're actually supporting each other holistically. The next piece is lifetime value, right? At the moment, short-term ROAS is the focus, but we also want to give brands a longer-term way to assign value, especially when they're reaching new brand buyers and getting them into the franchise and seeing the value of repeat purchase and retention over time. So lifetime value is going to be really critical to doing that and having that work in concert with ROAS. And at the moment, we're defining that metric. We're doing research and development to define that metric and building internal prototypes to where, again, that's something that we're excited to roll out later this year. The next piece, and it's related to that, is incrementality. We know because our shoppers our key occasion is shopping between 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. that we drive incrementality, but we really want to get really laser focused on being able to show the direct attribution from our advertising solutions in terms of being able to drive that incrementality in a predictable and repeatable way. So that's also going to be a big bet for us. And we're doing internal tests right now and evaluating third-party partners to help support us in rolling that out. So really excited. Again, we're starting with the foundation, but then quickly looking to use 2020 as a year to where we start building in more differentiated solutions from a measurement reporting perspective. The next piece on sampling is our data has shown that helping brands to be that part of that first order for new shoppers is really critical in terms of not only raising awareness, but driving lifetime value. And so that is the magic opportunity that we want to create. And based on this insight, we've rolled out a new solution we're calling newbie sampling packs, where it's a nationwide program that allows brands to have a scalable way to put their products as first in basket for our newbies across the country. And this is something that we're really excited about. It enables brands to do that in a targetable and measurable way. And we think this is an opportunity that's equally attractive to not only global and national brands, but also hometown heroes and mid-tail disruptor brands. So emerging brand Liquid IV is actually our first partner to test this, and we're really excited to roll this out across our all of our advertisers.
Hey Sri, we've had a dozen or so retailers talk on this podcast. I think this is the first time I've heard one say we're going to try and help measure lifetime value. That is phenomenal. That's the first thing that just jumped right out at me from what you've been saying, Mike. So thank you.
Whose favorite topic would that be?
I don't know. Who's into loyalty and lifetime value? I don't know anybody who knows that stuff. But all right, I was born Canadian. Wayne Gretzky is as close to a god as I'm ever going to know in my life. And of course, he's always focused on where the puck is going, not where it is. So Mike, help us know where the puck is going. What's next for Gopuff?
Thanks, Peter. And this is a really hard question to just single down to to one example, but because we have so many things happening. But if I had to pick one thing, I'd really focus on our innovative platform partnerships, both on the product fulfillment, but also add advertising inventory extensions. And I'll share some examples of what that looks like. And, it's really going to span ultimately finding ways to bring the magic of Gopuff to all of these off-app surfaces so we can meet more consumer occasions and, expand our audience in the process of doing that. So the first example is our partnership with the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships. That's a great example of bringing together the worlds of culture and commerce in a way that's really uniquely enabled by Gopuff because of the real-time nature of our platform. And so, we're doing these promotions and different integrations around UFC fight nights. And, when we launched this in Q4 of last year, we're seeing up to 300% lift in sales during fights, during those fight promotions. So really, it's a great example of how we can be this real-time commerce layer for brand sponsorships, whether those are Gopuff's own sponsorships that brands can participate in, or for brand-owned sponsorships where Gopuff can play this supporting role in this real-time commerce driving role. So UFC is one example, and we'll be doing much more in this culture-driven space. Two other examples, more around expanding occasions that we serve. The first one would be Uber Eats. So we have a partnership with Uber Eats that we launched last year. There's a Gopuff storefront within the Uber Eats app, so we can bring instant need shopping to their customers. And within that, it's still early days, but we're also beta opportunities around advertising expansion opportunities. So you can not only own the digital shelf within the Gopuff app, but do that within the Gopuff storefront within Uber Eats as well. So Uber Eats is another example. And then I'd put Hyatt in that same vein. I know we're not traveling as much these days, but for those of you who are, think of all the times where you forgot, your toothpaste or deodorant, or after a long flight, you don't want to go to a restaurant and wait for food. Through our partnership with Hyatt, we've effectively become the mobile version of the minibar. And we can deliver value across all those different moments and, delivered to your room in minutes. So I think that's another great example. And then I'd close on our Chase partnership, which is really about redefining loyalty. And, an example of how we do that with Chase is, we have these exclusive $10 monthly benefits that we offer to Chase customers through the Gopuff app. And there'll be a lot of exciting additional activations that we do off the back of that program. So I think those innovative partnerships are going to really be core in terms of our growing our audience and growing the occasions that we can win in with our brand partners.
And now we get to the magic question of the day. Any ad conversation is incomplete unless we ask, how do you measure success? So how are brands getting ROI? And what is the success of your platform?
First of all, it's still early days for our ads platform, but we're really excited about the impact we've been able to drive with our partners in a short period of time. Gopuff's ads business, we've grown by 75% year over year. We've launched thousands of campaigns in 2021. And even in the back half of the year, from July to December, we 2.5x the number of advertisers on our platform. I think it's a great indication how one brand within a house of brands or within a portfolio of an agency started on Gopuff, saw the immediate value, and then that investment expanded across the full portfolio. And that growth really happened because we're delivering exceptional ROI. And we're able to drive growth for brands and really powerful shelf velocity. That's the name of the game for retail media networks. And we're really excited that our ads have delivered an average ROI of 3x. And ultimately, we really want the superpower of Gopuff to be this ability to drive incremental sales in this predictable and repeatable way. And we're really excited to be on this journey and to continue to expand that into 2022.
I want to remind our audience that all of our content is all free. Just go to cpgguys.com and you can find our podcast platform, a list of other podcasts we listen to, the FMCG Guys podcast. It's all there and it's all free. And of course, always follow us on LinkedIn. Just go to CPG Guys in the search box and click the follow button. And of course, If you've got feedback for us, just send us an email to contact@cpgguys.com, particularly if you think you've got something to contribute to the conversation. Our guest has been Mike Harp from Gopuff. Mike, thanks so much for joining us today and being very detailed in explaining how brands can partner with Gopuff to connect with your shoppers and improve their brand business and ultimately achieve increased lifetime value. That's really terrific. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Peter and Sri. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed the time.
We're going to put, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we'll put hyperlinks to the ad platform microsite on Gopuff in the digital liner notes of this episode. Sri, lifetime value, full funnel. Oh, we're like kids in a candy store. My stomach is full. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, as Mike pointed out just 10 minutes ago, this landscape is fast evolving, rapidly changing, exploding. Gopuff has just introduced its ad platform. It's been a quick 7 or 8 months. They're building in ROI and measurement and things of that nature, as Mike just said, to wrap up the last question that I just asked him. I'm fascinated how even in the world of instant delivery, instant fulfillment, convenience, etc., ads have become they play such a meaningful role for a brand. And then Mike, you used the most important magic word was none of those, and it wasn't crack a cold one, and neither was it, the bringing together of the Gopuff kitchens with it. The key word was, you said, incrementality, that you're focused on driving incrementality. That solves a lot of issues for brands if you can figure that one out. So I wish Gopuff good luck in actually doing it as well as measuring that out. And then the other thing you talked about is the attribution aspect. When you put that together with incrementality, it's a winning formula. So that's what I look forward to seeing too, Peter. And needless to say, Mike, thank you for joining us. And next time we do this, those two things are going to come together like magnets. Gopuff Kitchens, crack a cold one. Peter, you know what I'll be researching next.
I do. And you reminded me that before this storm hits, I'm about to place my order for some immediate needs. So Sri, as always, thanks for joining me on this educational journey. I learned a lot today. This is very powerful. And to our audience, we hope you did too. Thank you for joining us for this episode. We look forward to speaking with you on the next episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Thanks. Have a great day. The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.